been working with Biafra for a long time. Today, I'm here in the capacity of a representative of the Organization of Emerging African States. That's an organization, international governmental organization that Biafra is a founding member of in 2011. And the Organization of Emerging African States is highly concerned about the continued detention of the Prime Minister, Simon Ekpa. And we have, therefore, had a board meeting and we've done an investigation of his detention, as well as the detention of Biafra's best ally, Ayaba Cho Lucas of Amazonia, who was also detained on similar charges in Norway. And we've looked into this, and the Organization of Emerging African States.
I was actually discussing with one of my friends, and he told me something that has got me thinking, and I'm still thinking about it up to now. He said that in this world, that there is no rule of law. Yes, there is no rule of law in this world. That what we have in this world is interest. Once that thing interests the government, forget it, rule of law will be set aside. And I can give you example here, both here in Africa and in the Western world. It is everywhere in the world, not only in Africa. Everywhere in the world it exists. Example of, for instance, Nigeria. Two people committed the same crime. One person was set free and the other person still held. What do you think is happening? It's personal interest. The person that was released out of what? Interest. And the person that was held is being held due to what? Interest. Now, that is it for Nigeria. In the Western world, there are so many examples. There are so many of them. Okay, tell me now why the Westerners killed Gaddafi. Yes, Gaddafi of Libya. Why did they kill him? Even when they know he is doing well. If you don't know, that time in Libya, when Gaddafi was the president of Libya, hey, they pay people in school. Everything, basically everything is free. If you give birth, they will pay you and pay your child. Like Gaddafi was, Libya was, the best country then in Africa. Yes, even though the leader Gaddafi was, squandering a lot of money, but he was taking care of the citizens. But the West saw it and saw something that they didn't like. And they kept rule of law by the side and came and unalived him. And today, Libya is one of the worst countries in Africa. And they are happy about that. That is what? Personal interests. Now, having said this, when Simon Ekpa was being summoned for questioning, everybody was all rejoicing that, oh, come on, Finland is a country that, do with rule of law and all that and all that. And of course, Finland support freedom fighting. Finland support, people to be free and all that. But what are we seeing today? It is all about personal interest. Forget him. You don't know what is happening. Now, Dr. Lucas Ayaba Shaw, the leader of the Amazonians, you know Amazonians now, right? Now, their leader has been arrested since the 26th of September 2024. And where was he arrested? In the West, in Norway. Yes, he was arrested in Norway. For what? They say that he is doing one thing on social media, and that is why they arrested him. Since 26th of September 2024 till date, they are still holding him. And then you ask yourself, come on, I thought this West, they support freedom, they support freedom, and they obey rule of law, they know what is democracy. Come on, I tell you, in this world, there is no rule of law. What we have is what? Interest. Probably, who knows? I said probably. Maybe the Cameroonian government may have called the Norwegian government and say, come on, we are going to give you social amount, just hold this guy to us. Probably. And the Norwegian government says, that all? No problem, that will be done. And they forgot rule of law. They forgot democracy. They forgot so many laws that abide that action. They forget about it and carry out the thing that is to their own interest. So that is why I said that in this world, there is no rule of law. What we have is interest. Now, let us listen to one of the attorneys that is handling the case of Simon Ekpa and the case of Dr. Lucas Ayabasho of the Ambazonian. Let's listen to him.
I've been working with Biafra for a long time. Today, I'm here in the capacity of a representative of the Organization of Emerging African States. That's the organization, international governmental organization that Biafra is a founding member of in 2011. And the Organization of Emerging African States is highly concerned about the continued detention of the Prime Minister, Simon Ekpa. And we have, therefore, had a board meeting and we've done an investigation of his detention as well as the detention of Biafra's best ally, Ayaba Cho Lucas of Amazonia, who is also detained on similar charges in Norway. And we've looked into this, and the Organization of Emerging African States has come to some conclusions, and we're issuing a public declaration today regarding your Prime Minister, as well as Ayaba Lucas Cho. There's these two cases are linked. As you know, Prime Minister Ekpa was taken into custody by the Finland authorities, and he remains there under investigation. What you may not know is the conditions of his detention are very harsh. Solitary confinement. His access to the outside world is limited. So we know this because we have debriefed 3 of the other 4 detainees who have since been released. There's very serious concerns on the part of OES about how they were treated. So this was done, and we believe the conditions that Cho are imprisoned under in Norway are quite similar. In Norway and Finland, of course, they can imprison people, detain people, they call it, on remand, almost indefinitely while they continue to investigate the allegations. The main concern, besides the conditions of imprisonment of the OAS, which we are very distressed about, the main concern is how these allegations against Cho and Ekpa came about, and who was behind these allegations. Was it the government of Finland and Norway? No, they are complicit in this, but we know that in August, a delegation of Nordic ministers, including the foreign minister of Finland, went to Abuja, where they met with representatives of Nigerian government and EKPA'S. And at that time, it was noted that in the Nigerian press, the foreign minister of Finland was quoted as saying that she would soon have Simon Ekpa arrested. Now, at the time, the prime minister was aware of that, and we just kind of wrote that off. Simon Ekpa, he's an EU citizen. This cannot happen. This is just the Nigerian press. But what was that meeting about? Of the Nordic ministers and the Nigerians in ECOWAS? Well, it had to do with political and economic favors that were being exchanged. And shortly thereafter, of course, Lucas Ayaba Cho was arrested in Norway in August. And again, we thought, well, maybe that's just a coincidence. But now we see Simon Ekpa arrested in November of this year on similar charges. So it's clear that this is a quid pro quo situation. It has the appearance here, the OAS, that Norway and Finland were promised favors by the Nigerian and Cameroonian governments. And in exchange for those favors, they were to deliver up, or at least take out of circulation, neutralize Simon Ekpa and Ayaba Lucas Cho. So, and that is indeed what happened. And that is indeed the appearance here. And I might point out, both Ekpa and Cho are EU citizens of Finland and Germany. That did not matter. They are sitting there in solitary confinement right now, facing charges. Now, what are the charges? Well, very similar. In the case of Cho in Norway, it is something to do with instigating crimes against humanity using the internet or some nonsense like that. And in the case of the prime minister, similar charges, except they're throwing the word terrorism about, that they're investigating. Somehow he's involved with terrorism. They don't even, specify what the terrorist organization is or what's going on with that. So the allegations are coming directly from the oppressors, from Cameroon and Nigeria. And both Cameroon and Nigeria are well-known human rights abusers. Of course, I don't need to tell you as Biafrans what has happened in Biafra and Nigeria as a whole in the last 20 years. I don't need to tell you what's going on in neighboring Ambazonia for the last 5 years or more. How many people have been killed? How many people are killed each year in Nigeria? This is a fact. Yet, Finland and Norway are taking the allegations from these two countries that are the human rights abusers. So we have a lot of concern about the source of the allegations, because if there are human rights abuses, it is the direct fault of Nigeria. It's the direct fault of Cameroon. If people are defending themselves after years of being subjugated to this, that is the fault of the oppressing governments. That's not a crime. So we have a concern. And of course, it is not like Norway and Finland don't know the circumstances. As you know, there was a large report issued a few months ago about the deaths of Christians in Nigeria over the last few years. But yet, they're taking the information from the Nigerian government. And we see General Musa making the head of the Nigerian armed forces, making public pronouncements just in the last few weeks that he will neutralize Simon Ekpa, remove him from circulation. And we see the state governors in Nigeria saying the same thing, making new allegations against Simon Ekpa. And we see their mouthpieces in the Nigerian press and the provocateurs that are part of the security system making the same allegations. So OEAS is very concerned that the governments of Norway and Finland are conducting an investigation based on information that is solely provided by human rights abusers. The people who are responsible for the crimes are the ones who are accusing Simon Ekpa of the crime. So we're concerned about that. And we're coming forward with our declaration, which is in the hands of the DPM and which we will be distributing worldwide in the next few days. We also are suggesting that if Finland and Norway are really doing an investigation of what is going on in Cameroon and Nigeria and Ambazonia and Biafra, that when they do actually discover war crimes, genocide, and crimes against humanity, which we know have happened, but those crimes are being committed by the agents and armed forces of Cameroon and Nigeria. And therefore, we're telling Norway and Finland that they need to refer the matter of the crimes being committed by Nigeria and Cameroon to the International Criminal Court, which has the appropriate level of expertise to evaluate these crimes. So this is what's being done on the international level. And again, the victims of this are holding themselves up. We've talked to some of the people, the detainees who've been released, and they've comported themselves in a heroic manner. So again, I want you to know Biafra is not standing alone. It has friends on the international level, and we will be distributing this worldwide and calling out the governments of Nigeria and Cameroon, who are the ones who have instigated the arrest of Simon Ekpa and Lucas Ayabacho.
All right, so what do you think? Drop your comment on the comment section, all right? And do not forget to subscribe to this channel, all right? Thank you and God bless you.